Kirk, I had, I think, 3 conversations yesterday, 2 with athletes and 1 at the group track session I went to last night that brought up Tyler Jermann.
I'm listening.
His answer to your Q&A and our little back and forth on it. And I got to say each time, well, if you like that, wait until this evening when an episode comes out. Because we had the follow-up with Tyler Jermann come out. As we speak now, it came out yesterday. There were some audio issues there that needed to be cleaned up. But people liked hearing Tyler, and so I can only imagine they really liked hearing him actually on the podcast.
The marathon and marathon training and looking at long endurance training through the eyes of, let's call it, a semi-professional.
Yeah.
That fair?
Yeah.
The two takeaways, I have 2 main takeaways from the conversation that might make me think maybe it would cause adjustments.
Okay.
Two from it. What about you?
Several. I'm going to lead with, before you get to yours, my overall impression, I think, is important for me to say, or at least important for me to tell to people, because I say all the time, great athletes don't often make great coaches because they don't always have to think about why they do what they do. They just are good. That's not Tyler. Tyler knows his stuff. And I know a few marathoners. I would say I know a half dozen marathoners that are within a few minutes of his PR, plus or minus. And the vast majority of them are not the type that do a whole lot other than put their head down and run through brick walls. Tyler's thinking about, he'll run through a brick wall, but he is aware of everything, and he is well-versed in the art of running. And so I really liked hearing him talk.
1450s in the 5K as a D1 scholarship athlete is back of the pack. Yes. And that's what he was. And he figured out how to get healthy and how to run faster and faster after the collegiate ranks, which if you're learning at that point, like you're really learning and you're challenging your own belief systems or what you've been taught up to that point, that's where you really learn, especially if you break through later. And I would say breaking through after college is later. Yeah. For a runner. So I think that's where the learning, developing your own thoughts, philosophies, instead of exactly what's been shoved down your throat for starting in high school and then college, and then just keeping that up into adulthood. I think there's more learning opportunity there.
I agree. And yet I personally know and would consider myself friends with 2 marathoners who are a part of semi-pro or pro groups, like very similar, really improved post-collegiately, especially when they found road racing. And I've asked them, like, what's your coach's philosophy of stuff? And they're like, man, I run 115 miles a week and I hammer my workouts. Like, that's not your coach's philosophy. Like, they don't know what, they can't explain their system. They show up and they do the workouts, what they're told, and they leave it right there and they go home and think about whatever else. But again, just like, to his credit, you described perfectly how he absorbed it, but there are a lot of people in his situation that aren't absorbing. They're surrounded by so much running and they don't absorb it always. And he has. And I really like listening to Tyler.
There's a sector of people who, I'm going to include myself in this, and I'm not going to include you in this. Like, I don't think you're in this sector of people. I think I am. Who believed back in the day they never actually saw their abilities through. Like, they never, either the opportunity was taken from them from illness or injury, or they feel like they were in poor hands, or it was a run of bad luck or life circumstances where they actually didn't attain what they believed and knew in their heart they could because of whatever reason. And that's the sector of person as they get into adulthood and on their own after an organized team that tend to stay with it and tend to still fight for it and tend to learn. I think he falls into that probably with his injury history. I certainly do I dropped out of college because I was sick and lost a full ride running scholarship my super senior year because it was taken away. And I feel like there's different versions of that, but those are the people I think that you see now. He's 30 in his 30s. Yeah. That end up, if there's going to be somebody, I would bet on that guy or girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Because I'm I'm very self-critical, and I'm a competitor. I don't believe I hit my max performance at any given distance, but I do believe I could see my max performance. Like, I was close. I knew what I could do, and I knew where it lied, and I knew that there wasn't much more there. Like, in some events, we were talking tenths or a second. Like,
Mhm.
you left college not having any clue how much faster you could get. I left college knowing if I committed the next 5 years of my life to this, I think I know the number I could hit, and it's not that much faster than what I did. So I agree with you.
Uh-huh. Two takeaways. I assume so. Brakken told me he had an idea for an episode today, but he
Yeah.
hasn't told me yet,
Nope.
which I assume this isn't it.
No.
Uh, Two takeaways are perfect builds don't guarantee a perfect race.
Yeah.
Imperfect builds don't guarantee an imperfect race as well. Body of work matters, even if builds aren't perfect. And even if you have years of running under your belt, you can absolutely get it wrong, even though you think you've done everything right. And sometimes there isn't an answer, and sometimes there is, and sometimes you know, and sometimes you don't, which is very confusing because none of what I said is clear. And
Yeah.
that's exactly the takeaway.
Yeah.
It's sometimes you can logic things out, whether it went great or poorly. Sometimes you can't. After I had an athlete who PR'd his half marathon this spring, dealt with injury all spring. We were cross training through and running. Like, he took 2 weeks off or so, then running half mileage, and we got him 3 to 4 good weeks before his half. And he said, I'm never going to PR. I didn't have the build I did last spring. Blah, blah, blah. On paper, it looked terrible comparatively. And what does he do? He goes out and PRs by
Uh-huh.
almost 2 minutes. And he timed it just right. The day he finally felt back was race day. And he was available. He wasn't burnt because we didn't have this big, beautiful lead. He still had fitness. He didn't have economy, but that economy finally met him on race day because we pulled it off just in time. And it was the most beautiful thing. And you look at his 6 months prior compared to his previous PR, which was a perfect 6-month build. And it's like, make sense of that,
Yeah.
right? But somehow you still could if you understood the body and maybe what happened for him specifically. And Tyler outlined that with his PR marathon,
Yeah.
working through injury, felt out of shape, and then goes and has an effortless day. It's almost angering.
It is. It's funny how the more fit you are, the quicker you feel out of shape. So if you've run for 15 straight years and you've averaged, I mean, he said he was getting the numbers he said on the podcast worked out to like 85 to 95 miles per year he's been averaging per week per year,
Yeah.
counting down weeks and everything. That's what he's hit for like 5 or 6 straight years. So if you have years of running 90 miles per week on average, if you run 70 miles a week for a few weeks, you're going to feel detrained. And yet all of us could tell you your body of work is so huge that your fitness is great and you're still running 70-mile weeks. Like, that's bigger than most people will ever run in their entire life. But you
Mm-hmm.
feel out of shape so quickly when you're very, very highly trained. You're sensitive to these things, and mentally you're sensitive to the things you know make you feel good. And so it's really hard to tell if you're ever truly out of shape once you get really fit, because you might be rusty, or you might be mentally not sharp, or you might be fresh for the first time in a while. And so it's so
It's
hard to
part of
tell what like he said beautifully, the previous block is what I looked at, but I might have been using 2 blocks prior. The
mm-hmm.
previous build is what I was racing off of that day.
Yeah, it's interesting how you'll see, and you could say increased blood volume might be to point the finger at for postpartum women. But you will see women who get pregnant, elite athletes, elite pro women. They get pregnant. They probably run through most of their pregnancy. They take the final, I mean, some might only take the final 4 weeks, 8 weeks. I don't know, but the
Mhm.
intensity's out the window at that point. Then they take their probably less than they should 2 weeks, 4 weeks after giving birth. They probably come back sooner than the normal person. But nonetheless, there's a multi-month window of time where they aren't training at all. And then within 6 months of their comeback, in quotes, they run a lifetime personal best.
Yep.
and you see it across the board. What can you pin that at? That certainly wasn't the perfect build. That's not what you would choose, is 3 months off, 6 months out from a race that you care about, yet you see it time and time again, and it's a reoccurring storyline. Like, this amazing pro athlete, now mom, is running the best in her life,
Yeah.
and that storyline will rinse and repeat itself to the end of the time, and you can say, what's that about?
Well, how long does it take to lose capillary bed density? How long does it take for mitochondria size to drop? Like, blood volume can change quicker. Like, your oxygen transport system, bare bones, don't really change much once you built them. Your efficiency can drop quickly, sure, but like it comes
Mm-hmm.
back. So it comes back on top of things you built for decades. Whereas we feel
Mm-hmm.
like we've lost it all. We know what 6 months of inactivity would have done when we were in high school.
Killed
We
us.
would have lost all of last year's fitness and we're starting over. But 6 months of inactivity after 15 years of activity does not negate 15 years of activity. But we can't
Uh-huh.
quantify in our brain how much we've lost, and we feel like I'm starting over. And how many times have I started over since we met each other on this podcast professionally?
4 at least, because you had that many surgeries
And
or
I
whatever it's
always come
been.
back at about the same place.
Yeah.
Every single time I run my first 5K quote unquote time trial, it's really a hard tempo over at McCarty Park cross country course. I always run around 17 minutes, right around there. I
Mm-hmm.
work out for a few days or a few weeks, and I go there and I'm between 16:55 and I think 17:20 or so. That's right around where I am. That is not where I would start out if I hadn't run for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
You got
taken
to
up
think.
to 6 months of no real running and I still run 17:10 there. Like, that's because there are things waiting, even though I feel like I am back down to zero. You're never down to zero.
Yeah, your bank account drains whatever you want to call it interest very slowly but surely, but there's still a mound of cash in there.
Yeah.
It's not gonna run out the back end that fast,
Yeah.
especially if you've been depositing for years, decades. I mean, myself, going on, oh God, I'm going on 3 full decades of some form of consistent endurance training. Like
Yeah.
30 years. My bank account, I need 2 bank accounts at this point to hold it all.
You could take
What
the
do you
next
think?
year
Like,
off of running and you would break 6 in a mile on your first attempt.
for sure. Yeah, I could tell you that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that tells you everything you need to know. And people work their whole life to break 6 in a mile, and you would do it with 12 months of inactivity.
Second takeaway. First was, okay, this is a perplexing and complex situation,
Yes.
and things don't need to be perfect, or even if they're imperfect, there's still a legitimate shot if you have body of work. I think that's the takeaway. And body of work doesn't guarantee a good day. I mean, you could have a virus you don't know about. You could have tummy troubles. It could just not be your day because you're underwater with fatigue a little, or there's X, Y, Z factors. The other takeaway, and this is the one I'm like trying to wrap my head around, because I appreciate he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out until I think he figured it out, or at least said it, was his issue with incline running or supplementary bike work or cross training. And I still believe engine is engine, and eventually it will be used for good, whether it's
Right.
created via running or biking or cross training or swimming or whatever. Is he's like, I think I believe that like biking would actually make you worse. Like, it's not even worth the time because of what it might do to your run economy and your
Yeah.
mechanics. And then I said in response, something, well, yeah, I could make you have tighter hamstrings or change your gait or your hip, whatever, all these things. And I never thought about it that way, and that philosophy. Like, no, if I'm running, should I not do my bike cross training, even though I can't run that day because something's going on?
Yeah.
Is that actually making me worse efficiently? Is running uphill on the treadmill for a midweek long run for 75 minutes actually hurting me potentially? Is it better to just go out and run the mechanics that's required on race day? That one I'm trying to wrap my head around a little bit.
Well, and that's what I want to talk about today.
It is. Okay.
I want to
That's why
talk
you're
about
smirking.
when is it training and when is it cross training? Like, where
And
is
when
that
is
line?
cross training? I guess is cross training hurting
Yeah.
me? Is that going to make me a worse runner? Like, what? Like, I can't. My head's really bothered by that statement,
Yeah.
because I spent my entire career cross training as part of my fitness program, and it's brought me to where I am today. So it's like I really want to bang my head against the wall.
Well, here's where I want to start. I want to start with my reflections on what Tyler said about uphill running and how I how it hit home for me. And it wasn't about uphill running.
Tyler's gonna have a real big ego after we're, giving him all this lip service.
All of it.
He needs it. Tyler, you need to come back and start running fast after your injury. So use this turbo booster. Think about this.
Oh, pump the brakes and take it slow, Tyler. Get
No,
there when you get there. So
go ahead.
when he was talking about all this, I kind of discredited it at first because I have my own body of work that tells me that running uphill improves my running. It actually makes my form better because my natural tendency is I have like a little bit of hip drop when I move. I have like a side to side rock a bit when I
I
run.
think it's your little bow-legged and
I'm
your.
also bow legged,
I think
little
it all
pigeon
adds.
toed.
I'm the same way, actually. So yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of things amplify that, but certain things calm that down. And one of those things is running uphill. Running uphill doesn't allow me to do that. And so uphill work is really good for me to drive power straight from my hips directly down into the ground rather than letting things splay out to the side. So I looked at
Mhm.
that and discarded it and thought, no, I do not agree with that, Tyler. I'm sorry. But then I thought about it more and I realized as he explained it, he's right for certain people. And then I thought, well, how would that make sense to me? And then I thought, yeah, that's what technical trail running has done to my running. Because I'm a side to side person, technical trail running amplifies that. And I, over time, leaned more and more into technical trail running in order to reduce impact, in order to reduce stride length so that I could stay healthier. And back in the day, I had a massive base of really good form running, and that's called college mid distance track.
Mm-hmm.
All you do is run fast or run slow, and you do a lot of running fast. We 3 to 4 times per week would run mile pace or faster. That's just a lot of really good reps of hitting the ground clean and getting off. And it cleaned up my form tremendously over those 5 years of college. And then getting into OCR, my base was still speed. I still did most of my speed work on the track or on grass pancake flat fields. And then I added in technical trails, and I added in hill work. And over the years, what I've done is I've removed the flat, smooth grass in the track and replaced it with more uphill work and more technical work to the point where now I see myself run and my stride looks weird. And I look at my cadence is 5 to 10 steps per minute slower than it ever has been. And it's because I won't call it cross training, but if we were talking about pure running, my cross training of hills and technical trails have slowed and amplified my negative characteristics as a runner, which in turn have lowered my efficiency of running smooth and fast. My ground contact time is longer somehow, despite running technical trails, because of my hip drop and my weird wobble side to side is worse than it used to be. And my leg kicking back has gotten lower than it ever has been. And I can look at it and say that by moving too much of my running away from fast running surfaces, I've actually become less efficient on fast surfaces. And so by that channel of looking at it, I can agree with every single thing Tyler said, but uphills weren't the thing that did it for me. But that means if it makes sense through his lens and now it makes sense through my lens for something else, each one of us probably have a version of cross training or running that does not lead to our efficiency running in our goal terrain. And like you said, may actually just make us worse with our efficiency.
Yeah. Yes, but at the same time, right now in this conversation, mostly speaking through the flat road metric lens, correct?
Yes.
Hold on, I got a cough. Fill the space.
This is a body racking cough he has going on. If you're not watching on YouTube,
I think I had some sinus allergy stuff going on. I just hacked in the garbage can.
it looked like you were vomiting.
Well, the garbage can is just down here. I was spitting into it. Anyways, my wife told me not to talk about that on these podcasts. She said it's gross.
And we've talked about bloody nipples and diarrhea. Phlegm can't be any worse.
Talked about it all. Anyways, so yes, now, like right away, you're going to have a host of athletes listening to this. Like most of my roster runs compromised races in a
Mhm.
sense where it's their quads are shot from lunges and they have to run. Or, I mean, I had 4 athletes out in Morzine, France running the Spartan Ultra World Championships. Talk about needing to use the treadmill or getting on
Yep.
technical trails. There's like such a place for, like, if we're looking at it through this, like, you have a marathon in which you have less than 300 feet of gain and loss on a perfectly smooth concrete road, and it is to be as efficient down to the microsecond and
Mhm.
1 BPM left or right of center. Yeah, I think exactly what you said is correct. But there's so many buts and so many exceptions.
Right.
And those are the rabbit holes that are interesting to discuss. Like, okay, if you're a trail runner who races vert, your East Coast or your Rocky Mountain territory, but some of your running might be considered like
Right.
useless. What would that be for you? And what would that be for the hybrid athlete? And what would that be? There's so many rabbit holes, and that's like, I think it's hard to sort out.
I think it is, and I think what
And
oh, go, continue.
sorry, the last thing that I waffle with over what he said, and I'm not calling it pushback, but I'm not calling it pushback, is, go out, you'd be better served going out and running, like, go run 8-minute miles and stack some more volume, some aerobic volume. I'm like, well, like, what is 8-minute mile? And I did that. I ran like 750 pace today. Just like, haven't run that slow in forever. Mostly I
Yeah.
was tired and slow, but nonetheless, point being, I certainly didn't feel like anything efficient to me today. I'll tell you that much. Like, would I have been better served putting the treadmill at 6 or 10% and doing it there?
Right.
Like, what is 750 pace for me really helping me? Could I have just done it on the treadmill, got some vert, and checked that box too in case I jump into a trail race? Like, is there a right answer?
Yeah. And that I think again highlights the way I think about things, which is that very little in running outside of breaching thresholds is binary. Everything's a spectrum. It's a sliding scale, and there is something that is probably not useful whatsoever and something that is probably incredibly useful, but there exists this whole spectrum in between there of diminishing or increasing returns on your investment. And so, yes, I believe, like, I don't believe I have anything present in any of my training that is bad for my stride until it reaches a percentage of my overall training. So I believe that uphill, like, I prescribe uphill incline work for marathoners,
So do I.
minimum every other week for a lot of them. But it
So do
is,
I.
and I could argue it that if you run just uphill, it will put a lot more emphasis on certain body parts that you're not going to use the same way in a marathon. But the marathon might get that body part to that point by mile 18 or 20. And if we just ran that stride for 70 minutes, well, we've already worked on that area, and you can fall back on that during your marathon degraded stride. Like, that is a valid argument, but it cannot be the crux of your training, right? There is a percentage of it that can't be exceeded, at which point it starts to detract from the real goal. And there's a percentage of intensity that can't be exceeded, or else, like he talked about, you're going to bring fatigue into the equation that detracts from the real goal. So I do not believe it's binary, but I believe it's important to figure out, are we spending too much time or not enough time on the goal and then the adjacent training?
Two things. One, Cole Hawker.
I wanted
Before
to bring that up on the podcast and it never
So did
opened
I.
up.
Me
Gosh
too.
darn it.
Well, okay, like mine's. Cole Hawker was open about adding extra road bike volume in his training, and he became the Olympic champion
Yes.
while being notably behind. I just got fed the Prefontaine Classic from last year, where he took fourth or fifth, 4 seconds behind Jakob and Yared, and then a month later goes and beats him in the Olympic finals.
Yeah.
Now, openly, Jakob, smirking, says, "Yeah, I want to be a fast runner. Biking is not going to help anybody be a faster runner. It's that's silly." He said it in
Yep.
interviews. Like, I don't know what Cole Hawker is doing. I think Cooper Tier is doing a bit of it too. Cole ends up becoming the world champion, Olympic gold medalist, and total underdog. He never proved that that should have been his role or place.
Right.
And so then I look at that and I say, okay, was Cole Hawker's additional volume helping pay off in some capacity?
Right.
Or was his additional volume on the bike actually what was holding him back? And as he got healthy, as the marathon finals approached, he let the biking go. He became more efficient because he wasn't biking anymore. He timed it perfectly where, yeah, he had a little bit more of aerobic conditioning, but none of the hindrance
Right.
of the mechanical deficiencies from the biking. And he timed it perfectly. And Cole Hocker didn't have a great winter or a lead in. Cole Hocker was injured, coming back, ramping up, timed it perfectly. Jakob had a great build in lead in. Jared had a great build in lead in. All those guys, Josh Kerr had a great, no setbacks. Cole Hocker was the only one with setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was coming back from something, I don't remember, and had an okay indoor that year and then got beat pretty much every race until US champs Olympic trials.
Yep.
I think. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. So first of all, I think about that and I go, okay, which way did that actually work out? Was biking helping him, or was it he finally took the handcuffs off as the Olympics approached and he could be himself?
Right.
Or was biking helpful?
Well, and did it pair? Did the base he built there? Did that pair to his running at just about the right time? Did it hurt his running right up until it helped it? We don't know.
Yes.
But what it would be different if he had had a Olympic gold medal in the 1500 like Matthew Centrowitz did in Rio, where he ran the slowest winning time since like the Stone Ages. He ran 3:50 flat.
He ran Olympic record,
which is what you ran in the 1500 essentially, right?
Not far off. Yeah.
Cole Hocker ran 3:27.65 and closed in 53 seconds. All right, he ran 23 seconds faster than it was won in the last time a U.S. male won it. He set the Olympic record en route. So it's not like we can look at it and be like, well, we're not really sure what it led to. It led to a PR and an Olympic record.
I think that was a 3-second PR for him. I think his trials was 3:30.
Something like
3:29, 3:30.
Yeah. So the fact is, he didn't just win on a fluke year. He won the fastest Olympic race ever. Full stop. So we know that it didn't make him a worse runner, but we also know, we have talked to other runners on this podcast, John Yatsko, who went in on cycling and said he doesn't recommend it because it slows your running. It dulls your cadence and your form, which is the same thing that we're hearing in different language from Tyler, which is it's killing your efficiency as a runner. It makes you too quad dominant, too hamstring dominant, whatever your motion you're doing is going to throw off. Cycling is going to be quad dominant. It's going to throw off the balance of your hamstring to quad. And most runners have weak hamstrings anyway. That whole argument. But it also will work for some people. And like this argument is, again, like it's not binary. Cycling is the golden ticket for some people, and it is the kiss of death for some people. And it's for some people. And it's important for people to realize what type of work they're doing and how it's affecting them.
Let me ask you a question. I don't care about your upper body. Let's talk belly button down.
Okay.
Hips down. Do your legs, take that as vague as you want, get sore every week from strength training?
No.
That they don't. Is it because you're not strength training?
I'm speaking as in while I'm in a strength training block, they do not get sore every week. Or if they do, I'll have a minuscule amount of soreness that does not last. Early on, it's destructive.
I want to know, Minnesota Distance Elite group of marathoners, half marathoners. They got people, they race down to the 5K and shorter stuff. The top end pros, men or women, while they're in a build 1, 2, 3 months out from their A races or racing season, I think it's pretty universal. Most are strength training with purpose, correct? It's safe to say all elite training camps have their strength training with some sort of purpose.
Yes.
I would think, whether it's only piddly stuff or it's true.
It's purposefully programmed at every modern pro camp.
Okay, there. Are they getting DOMs in their lower half from gym work or not, and allowing it to or not allowing it to affect their run training? And I ask because I'm sore every week. And I mean sore.
Oh, okay.
I strength train on Wednesday. I should double it on Tuesday with my quality day. I don't. It often lingers till Saturday sometimes. That was the case at the Afton Trail race. I was still sore. My butt was still sore.
No, I'm talking that my expression was, does your strength training give you DOMs?
Yes.
For 3-4 days.
Not always. When I'm leading into a race that matters, I back off and then like I'll go through motions and then no. But Yeah, my hamstring glute insertion. It's never my quads. It's always my rear chain, glute, in some
Mm.
capacity. And today it was like, I mean, it's full. I strength trained yesterday and it's full for sure affected my efficiency today. That's why I plotted. It was DOMS, not
Interesting.
other fatigue. And so that question, and I remember back in college, like we did some little circuits 2 or 3 times a week, like body weight stuff, like just 10 minutes after the run was done. I'd be sore for a week the first time. I hadn't done it all winter or summer. And then I was fine, never felt it again. But this is like, I think it's negatively impacting me all the way up till my long runs, many weeks. Biomechanical
Interesting.
efficiency. Yeah. And so my question is like, what I'm wondering is like, is there ever a time or place for that? Or is that like, I just need to chill? Do I need to not do full range of motion or go as heavy? Because I think the one thing that's low hanging fruit, and maybe this is for a lot of people, is that's like a normal part of my routine. Yeah, my Thursday and Friday are totally effed every week. I never feel good because I got DOMS, and that's
Yeah,
probably true.
I cannot say I've ever gone through a training block feeling that way, ever in my life.
I've gone through every training block the last how many years
Only
feeling
base
that way.
building.
Yeah.
So
S-
here's the way I think about that type of feeling
mhm,
or the engagement that causes that. If I'm doing purposeful running, if I'm going deep, I'm going heavy enough to engage and go and have to Valsalva,
mhm,
and that's it. If I get that and I'm pushing up and bracing, that's all the engagement I care about. If I'm having to explode and sell out, that explosion happens when I'm almost at a fully contracted state in my legs. So like
mhm,
only like
mhm.
10, 15 degrees with like hang clean and explosive jumping. When I'm lengthened all the way down below parallel, I am not engaging.
Hmm.
It's once I get all the way to the top and it's contracted, I can explode out of that because that's running specific and it's hard to take real damage there. And that's how I
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great
If
way
I'm
to
not
think about it.
heavy back squatting, I will be, and that's part of why I front squat in season.
It
I
saves your
front squat mostly in season because A, it's good for my back, but B, I have to Valsalva with like any weight above 105 pounds on
mhm.
front squat. And so it gives me the engagement I want, but I'm not getting sore from front squat if I'm used to the range of motion. But back squat, you have to really bear down. You've got to load it up.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something I think many people deal with. I just know after leg day, my next 2 days are suck. Right.
Yeah.
For example. Um,
I had
and
that
I've
back
had
with leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm doing heavy fives. I'm doing heavy lunging. I'm doing heavy reverse lunging. I'm actually not back squatting right now.
Like 5 bys or 3 by 5s.
Like 3 by 5s, not five
Okay.
by fives. Just 3 sets of heavy fives per leg. Walking lunges might be 8 to 10 per leg, but I may hold 70 pounds in each hand, right, and do 20
Yeah, I'm
total,
not
right?
going anywhere near your weight in season, I guess.
Correct, right. And so, and I'm working hard. Like that's taxing on me. It's not easy
That's a
after the
lot.
reverse lunges. Yeah, at 200 plus pounds at this stage, right? Like it's a lot because I love it and I like how I feel and it makes me feel like a man and so does the bench press and
Yeah.
I'm just so my intuition is saying, and I hope this is relatable for some people. My intuition is saying, well, these pro camps that are running all this miles, they're never feeling like you're feeling like that is it's too much for what you're trying to do, and it's actually negatively impacting your ability to run well and run clean. And so that's part of the coin too. Uh, Needing to figure out. I'm talking the efficiency piece alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm bringing it up. It's like, yeah, today was not efficient. Today was a plod because my ass is sore and my hamstring and glute junction is always effed after these days. So, where does that factor into the cross training equation? Is that making me inefficient as well? Or are you out there listening? What do you do about that? That's why Jakob Ingebrigtsen does a quarter squat and a quarter deadlift, and he's never in compromised positions. He develops fatigue, but he wakes up the next day, puts his socks on just fine. I got to sit down and do it because I can't get my toes to my hands unless I do because I'm sore.
Yeah. I didn't realize this about you. We've talked in
Mm-hmm.
the past about
I
pre-fatiguing
push
our.
pretty hard on these sessions.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know the ramifications. We've talked in the past about pre-fatiguing our Saturday hill work or
Mm-hmm.
compromise work with lifting. But I think we were operating under different definitions of how hard we're working. And I the only time in my life I've been that destroyed from lifts that running felt unsafe was when I first started heavy lifting again, and when we first started leaderboard up, and I was testing out the
Five
strength
buys.
training,
Mm.
and I was scared running hills that next day. My hamstring
Mm.
insertions and my quads felt scary, like I might hurt myself. And from that point on, I have only ever lifted hard like that while doing easy base training. As soon as we had transition out of that, I'm into like a B plus lift zone. I never touch an A again in my lower body. If I sell out, it's upper body. And a B plus gets me sore or tired for a day max. And so I
Mhm.
come into that thinking, yeah, I'm pretty fatigued, but I have never, ever, after base training in my entire life, Kirk, had that I can't put a soccer shoe on feeling until I get in the right position or help my leg with the other leg. And never once during running that mattered.
Every week.
I didn't know how
To
have we made it
some
this far, and
degree.
I didn't understand this about you.
The perplexing thing about that is I had to back off a lot of that because of my IT band issue leading into the marathon, so I actually was forced to back way off it
Uh-huh.
all. So it wasn't a fix, by the way. Like, "Hey, you couldn't do your stuff because it hurt my knee really bad, actually, the lunging in particular." So, like, that I'd be like, "Oh, you let it go, and you should have, well, miraculously had a great race if it was damaging to you," but I wasn't doing that either
Only
because
if it was
I
fatigue.
couldn't. Correct. So anyways, that portion of it, I'm not looking to suss out my own training, although that's what we've been doing a lot lately. But I feel like there's got to be a whole sector of our
Yeah.
listeners, athletes we coach. So right now, like this week, I went 30 pounds later on reverse lunges, 20 pounds later on regular lunges, still a little bit of it, but not nearly as bad. And now I'm playing with that to say, is that effing the efficiency? Where's the strength training line? I'm not trying to do high rocks.
Right.
Most people aren't. So what do you think? What do you think? What's the solution?
Well, I think the solution is backing off a notch, one notch, and seeing what your training feels like for 2
Hmm.
weeks. And I just had this conversation with someone yesterday on an athlete call, which was we're going to back your weight off 10% for the next 3 weeks and
Hmm.
see what that does to lingering fatigue and your availability for workouts. And then we're going to go another 10% off as we get closer to the races that matter. Like I think that's the same protocol. You move off a bit.
Yep.
But your question then is, are people doing this in their cross training and in
Correct.
their adjacent activities? And I think the answer is a resounding yes. I believe the reason I don't cycle is not because I think it slows your cadence, as long as you're doing good cadence work, and not because I think it screws up your efficiency. It's because it's so hard on my quads. I
Hmm.
have to bike so much to get efficient at biking that if I'm just trying to be, and we've talked about this on here before, if I just want to do a high end aerobic bike, my quads feel like I am breaching lactate threshold. They are so full and burning,
Hmm.
trying to push any amount of steady wattage.
Yep.
So in order to stay low enough, my heart rate's at like 110 to get my quads to feel the way they should feel. And it's just not an efficient workout for me until I've done months of good cycling. But I believe people trash their quads on their non-impact days all the time.
Hmm. For sure. And I agree with you. And it takes, gosh, does it take consistency on the bike to develop enough muscular strength and endurance to not have it go so much quicker than
Yeah.
your aerobic capacity? It's, you almost get just rendered useless. And talk about a bonk on a bike. There's no worse bonk than a bonk on a long bike ride, like because your
Yep.
muscles literally can't work anymore and you're toast. Your heart rate might not even be going anywhere, but like it's the ultimate bonk. It's the worst.
I bonked in my first trail 50K and I bonked on my second road 100-mile time trial on the
Yeah, I remember
bike.
hearing about that. Yeah.
And I will take that 50K, those last 3 mile bonk over the last 3 miles on the bike 10 times out of 9.
Bike bonk is the worst bonk.
Because you can't do anything else. There's nothing else to rely on other than to pedal down.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stand by that, and I've had some good bonks, including this recent marathon. I'd still take that over a bike bonk. Bonking on the bike and having like 20 miles left in 100, I would rather lose my fingernails
Yeah.
one by one.
When you bonk on the run, like truly bonk, let's say you go from 6 minute pace to 9 minute pace. You personally, me personally,
Yeah.
On the bike, I went from 22 down to 12 within 2 miles. I was
That's so
standing
bad.
up to get above 12 at like 12 and a half miles per hour. I would pump it up to 15, and after 10 or 15 seconds, it would be back down to 12. I was losing like 40%, 50% almost, 40% of my power. Anyway, point being, that's how quad dominant biking is. And if you are
Mhm.
weak in your quads, biking might make you better. And if you are strong in your quads, you are amplifying an existing problem. I think
It's fun.
running uphill keeps me from doing that.
Mm. It's fun to chat this out because I don't think we've given any answers so far today on anything. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
this is like if you were like not into running and you happen to be forced to listen to this podcast right now, and there's
Yeah.
probably one person stuck in a car with like their wife who listens, and they're like, "What is this?" We're like the details we're talking are so nuanced and unnecessary. It's like put on your running shoes and run. That's what most people think running
Right.
is, or it should be. Like, what percent of the population, like, are we talking just the final 5% of your fitness here? All these details? Is it the final 1%? Is it 25%? Like, are we splitting hairs to run a second faster in the 5K, or are these differences seconds per mile faster in anything? Like,
Yeah.
all those, like, what's the trade off between life and filling out a t shirt versus I'm never going to be a pro marathoner? The
Right.
heck?
But it still matters to you like it does a pro. But I think there are
Right.
two things that are important for people to remember. The first is that putting on your shoes and getting out the door and running is always the best way to get better at running. But the vast majority of people on this planet can't do that every day because
Mm,
of training history, because of body composition, because of injuries, whatever. They literally cannot put their shoes on and go run for an hour every day of their life. And almost every single pro runner can. And so that as soon as you can't do that, you do have to find training elsewhere
right.
in order to supplement that. So it has to be found somewhere. And then the other thing that I think is important is how much you enjoy doing what you're doing. In fact, just this morning, a story was fed to me. A new medical study shows that in order for exercise to be most effective, it should be something you enjoy doing. It's like, wow, that's really cool. Like, great job. But it also highlights the fact that we get more out of the things we look forward to. A, you're going to be more consistent, and B, you're going to get more. I'm looking for a way off the bike every second I'm on the bike, and I'm looking for a reason to stay on the trail every second I'm on the trail. And I
Hmm.
will always get more out of my training on the trail than I will on the bike. And it's important to enjoy what you're doing. And so even if there is a piece of equipment that isn't the 10 out of 10 best way to build efficiency for your running, but it's a 10 out of 10 enjoyment for you, the scale might tip in the favor of doing it. But if I can run 60 to 80 minutes a day every single day, you're detracting from the cause by not running on any one of those days because everything will be less
Hmm.
efficient than running. So there's constantly the non-pro athlete balance of enjoyment and sustainability along with what is best for me.
Trying to figure out where the sweet spot is.
And it's a moving target.
This is a moving target. Yeah.
Chris Woolley, for
So,
example, his big stair block he got better across the board, but he can't train like that forever.
right.
He couldn't continue to do 90 to 100% of his training on stairs and keep getting better at the 5K. Eventually, he's going to get worse at the 5K.
Well, and that's sort of the catch 22 of it is what has made you good most likely dosed wrong is what exactly will make you worse
Yeah.
eventually. What the heck is up with that?
Huh?
It's a bizarre thing. Yeah. So the premise of today's conversation in your eyes was like cross training, and what is cross training based on what you're training for, right? In a sense, like
And
how do
your
we know?
personal athlete.
Yeah.
I can
Do
run
you,
uphill and improve my flat ground running. I know that to be true. I have seen that to be true. But I also firmly believe that that wouldn't be true for some people. Same thing with
and
cycling.
also though, actually, to the catch 22 I just talked about, I think that is true and would be true. I think even if you just double down on it at some point, it would then be your limiting factor,
100%.
probably. Right? It would help until it stopped helping.
Yeah, at which point
until
you
then.
get back to the what is the percent that I can keep of my training uphill, and what how do I balance that out with purposeful flat work in order to make sure that the juice is always worth the squeeze and it's not stealing from my running. You don't want what you're doing to take away from your running, you want it to complement your running. And that is, again, it's a moving target. It's something that has to be constantly self-analyzed.
So what are forms of cross training in your life that you could really analyze? I guess the thing is you might be looking at hybrid racing coming up, and so everything's game. Like literally
Well, I think
everything is fair game.
the things that normal people use, it's elliptical, it's stair stepper, it's spin bike or road bike or mountain bike's a big one.
Should have asked should have freaking asked Tyler about what's your take on Parker Valby then. Would have been curious there. What
It's
talk about that?
yeah,
She's a collegiate record holder across the board. She's ninth at the Olympic 10,000-meter final in lead with 2 laps to go or whatever it was. Granted, she was outclassed. And even on that script, she's on the ARC trainer 3 times a week.
yeah. And with
Talk to me about that.
well, what we can't tell is the alternate universe Parker, who's healthy and doesn't need the arc trainer. Is she
Mhm,
worse, the same, or is she a minute faster? This is her at 85% efficiency. She's certainly not
mhm.
in the most efficient looking runner out there.
I agree with that. And your whole stupid statement, which I have been asking myself constantly, is the because of or in spite of
Yeah,
statement. Like, is she good because of the arc trainer or in spite of it? And I ask myself, am I good because of the bench press or in spite of it? Right? Like little
yeah,
things like that. The answer is in spite of it, by the way. But for me, anyways.
for
But
sure.
like, yeah, but just that because of or in spite of is something I think people should really ask themselves in regards to this exact conversation. Like, am I a better Spartan racer because of my bouldering, or am I is in spite of? Well, you could say because of. I'm a better Spartan racer because of my boulderings. That's safe to say.
For sure.
But are you a better Spartan racer because you love mountain biking and you choose to do that twice a week instead of run?
Right.
I would say in spite of.
Well, and I'm glad you brought this up because we love to use successful examples as
Justify
rationale
anything.
or justification. We look at people look for decades, have over a decade, have looked at Ryan Atkins to justify their training lifestyle.
Hmm.
Look how much he bikes and look how good it is for him. It's like, yeah, yeah, maybe. Or is he going to be better than you at whatever he does? They look at
Yeah.
Usain Bolt. He ate 30 chicken nuggets a day during the Olympics. And
And there's sweet potatoes only.
yeah, you like chicken nuggets. I get it. But don't tell me that you eat
Aren't they
them because
McDonald's chicken nuggets too?
McDonald's chicken nuggets. But don't tell me you're eating them because they're a performance enhancer because Usain Bolt did and he was fine. We love to do these things, but it gets you have to start picking and choosing carefully how you think about it when it comes down to your training for performance. The thing
Yeah.
that I say keeps me healthy, does it also keep me inefficient? That's the question.
That's probably the real question to ask.
Yes,
What keeps me available is also the cause of my inefficiency. Ugh. And then how do you even balance that teeter totter? And guys like Nick Bear and Hunter McIntyre are probably the worst examples for guys and girls out there who are trying to run PRs, but then be like,
yes,
well, if Nick Bear can run 240 in the marathon and he's 210 pounds, I can still go to CrossFit 3 times a week and expect to PR my marathon. And those are all in spite of athletes. Even Hunter, I'm going
yes,
to say, is an in spite of athlete. That muscle mass and
for sure.
size is only a hindrance. But we have these examples who are great social media figures and great proponents of balance and overall fitness. And then you have like marathoners trying to model their training after somebody who's 80 pounds heavier than them, because if they can do it at 210 pounds, I can do it at 180, even if I'm going to CrossFit 4 times a week. Like,
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying there?
for sure. And
Yeah.
and we should aspire to live like some of these people
Mhm.
unless ultimate performance is your goal. But
Hmm.
it's difficult, but I think the core takeaway of this is because of or despite and at what point. Like go back originally to the incline training. We could do a lot of it and get better. But eventually over time, we're going to have to accept the fact that we have to do a little bit less of it, just like we do in every other style of training that's been proven by man. You build a ton of power, you get to back off on lifting a little bit and keep a high percentage of it. You build a ton of anaerobic speed work, you get to back off after a while, or it's going to tip you over. The answer isn't always keep the same prescription or do more to keep getting better. We've proven with other things that you have to back off at times or change the percentage. You can't just do it indefinitely, but we treat other things like that. Cycling made me really good at running back when I sucked at running. It allowed me to get more work in. Work is work, engine's engine. I got better. Now I'm good at running. Upping my cycling is not guaranteed anymore to give me an improvement in running.
Which is where you could have a Tyler Jermann die on his rock, as in biking makes you inefficient for running,
Yeah.
because he's talking about the tip of the tip of the pointiest end of the spear who've already earned that, who've already gotten good at running, right?
Yeah. And I
Depends
think,
what phase of your journey you're on. You're in.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the question is always, could I do more with no consequence? If you could be running, there's no reason not to run. We only seek cross training to supplement our running that we can't do more of. It's not because it's going to provide us something better than what running is always the best thing for runners. Full stop. As long as you can do it with no drawbacks. So cycling is a great thing to supplement running when you can't run anymore. And Tyler thinks you can run more.
Yeah.
That's what it really boils down to. I think that if he's cycling right now, not because he believes in biking, but because he can't run more. He's
Yeah.
doing the same thing. He's just not expecting fitness out of it, and we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the answer, it's actually good. Today, I normally would have been on my treadmill just putting in some easy uphill miles, and I went outside and ran. Like on
Right.
flat train, because now what I want to do is I want to experiment a little and say, okay, well, let's find out, right?
Right.
So I think the next step is this helping or hurting me? Well, you can always find out by, for
Right.
example, changing a vert midweek long run, which I would have set it at 15% and just ran some easy miles and watched like YouTube videos of the Prefontaine Classic. But I went outside and ran flat train and slogged slow miles instead. What if I see this through for 4, 6, 8, 12
Yeah.
weeks? I'll know, right? And so the same could go for whatever you at home or whatever you're doing now, running or driving. Is what's the thing? Your mountain bike you love so much on Saturdays instead of your long runs because you just love it. Well, if you're curious, find out. Maybe make some changes and stick with it for a little bit, and you'll find out. That's the stage I'm in.
Yeah.
And either way, you're not going to miss left to center too much by this, right? Like
100%.
experimenting. What's really the harm? So,
So I know we only have 3.5 minutes, but you brought up the thing that I wanted to finish with. And that is, I think we need to be honest with ourselves and ask why we like doing the thing we like doing. You brought up watching races on YouTube. Half the reason I use my treadmill, other than other things, is so that I can watch something because it's easier and more pleasurable for me to do that. It's why I don't use my spin bike because it's more uncomfortable than versus my assault bike. My assault bike is set up in front of the TV. My spin bike's adjacent to it. I have to finagle things back and forth. So even if I believed in them the same, I'd choose the assault bike because it's simpler.
yeah.
It's why when in doubt, I will row over skier. You can't watch a single thing while skier, unless you're
Yeah.
willing to take your eye off it every few times. Some people like mountain biking because they love mountain biking. Others love it because they get out of the house, tune the bike, drive to the trail, go on the bike, crack some beers afterwards, wrench on the bike, and now they haven't had to be around their family for 6 hours. Others, it's because they get a 3 hour effort in, but you didn't have to work the entire time. You got downhills and it's easier on you. You didn't have to do the same amount of work.
Mhm.
And all those things are up to you, but deciding, am I doing this because I believe it to be best? Or because I want to do this thing. And then you have to decide, are my wants more important to me than my needs? And that's entirely personal. We can't make that decision for you. But I think a lot of people are not honest with themselves in why they train the way they train.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with all of these subjects, case studies. It's like we could almost do like today's like feels like more like a training Tuesday, right? Than like
We flipped it this week.
right, we like flipped this week. This is a shorter episode, but like you could take the literal conversation that we had with Tyler on Tuesday. And you could say, Tyler, we're going to do the first hour and we're going to speak to just the pro aspiring type marathoners. And then we're going to take the same conversation and we're going to look at it as you're in the first few years of your running and just
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. And you could literally take the same conversation, have two completely different conversations about the same thing, depending on where you're at in your journey. And that's where this is like, that's where this gets so sticky and complicated. And we try to balance it, right? We try to give a little here and give a little there, but really you could make 2 episodes on every single topic.
Well, it's why this is the running public, not the running pros.
Correct.
We're speaking to the masses. And if either end of the spectrum can take something out of it, great.
Do you think we have more 10-minute plus milers in the 5K listening to us versus less? It could be down the middle.
I'd say it's down the middle.
How do you not service both ends?
Yeah. You can't with one episode usually, but it's also why like we're famous for straddling the line.
You're not famous for anything.
Not famous, but we're known for straddling. I'm known for straddling the line. Ask me to give you a yes or no question, and it's going to take me 10 minutes to tell you why I'm not going to tell you yes or no. Like that's what this is.
Got to die on more rocks, apparently.
Yeah.
So what are you going to, okay, you got 30 seconds. Is anything, like for me, I'm sorting this out right now and maybe making some changes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more flat running, a little less incline running, maybe no quality in my long runs, keeping them separate, keeping them bite-sized, for example, and seeing what happens. What about you?
I'm committing to full race warm-up many days of the week.
Okay.
As
Why?
in, not full race warm-up, but like go through my series of dynamic exercises and skips and bounds and strides, and then just do what I was going to do. It might lead into a lift. It might lead into a 40-minute easy run. It might lead into my interval session. But all those things that I did every single session with the team in college, I think that those are indispensable as you slow down. And as your stride sags and it gets slower and worse. And I don't want to be on the precipice. I want to know that my cadence, my foot plant, my ground contact, my stride is beyond reproach because it has broken down too many times for me. And I think that might be the single easiest thing to implement. It'll take me 10 to 15 minutes a day. It will not cause me any soreness or fatigue or injury. And it will only serve to help every single movement I make throughout my week. That's my big takeaway from Tyler. It was not any of the cross training stuff. It was how important prehab and piddly stuff and plyo in dynamic movement is. Basketball is not I used to rely on basketball as my plyo when I was still doing all these drills 3 to 5 times a week throughout OCR. Not doing the drills anymore. It still needs to be running specific dynamic movement.
And ultimately, it comes down to being able to dunk a basketball as far into your 40s and 50s as possible, if we're really being honest.
It does, but I dunked last year, and I didn't run well last year. They used to be mutually...
That was tongue-in-cheek.
Like joined, and now they're mutually exclusive almost. Like not exclusive, but they are not indicative of each other anymore. My stride has degraded, but I would say if I measured explosive movement, it has degraded less than my running stride has. So I need to get that back up to par.
All right.
What about you? What's your big take?
I already told you.
I didn't know if you had one outside of that.
No, those are just, I'm going to start just playing a little bit. And I could elaborate, but I really can't because I got to go.
All right. Well, thanks
Maybe
for
I'll see you
chatting
this
this out.
weekend.
I hope to see you this weekend.
I'm going to Milwaukee this weekend where Brakken abodes, but he also abides in Milwaukee, I guess.
I abide by a lot of things.
Got a boys trip, but Brakken isn't one of the high school boys, so I'm hanging out. I'm staying 15 minutes from your house, but I'm not there to hang with you. It's going to feel weird.
We're going to do our best to get a run in Saturday morning.
Yes, we will. All right. That was fun chatting out with you.
See you next time.